that you survive. So where's your energy? Just filling on the poll. And our pulse question of the day is, what is one thing at work or in life in general you're currently avoiding that you know would have such a positive impact on life today? One thing you're avoiding that would have such a positive impact on your life today. So please fill in. I'll give it a moment. As usual, please have your cameras on. Thank you. I can see Gerald, Emil, Francis, Alphonse. Please put on your cameras. Beverly, good to see you. Faith, Katrine, thanks for having your cameras on. Everyone would like to see you if you're in a place where you can. So feel in your pulse. Okay. All right. So I'm seeing they're still coming in. I'm seeing majority of people say they're at 4 out of 5, which mirrors the general pulse from the week. And I can see some people have answered the qualitative part. Okay. So I want to have some people share. Where's your pulse been this week? And what's your answer to that pulse question? Anyone who wants to share where their pulse is at. Barbara, I see you're unmuted. Did you want to share your pulse? Okay. Anyone want to share their pulse first voluntarily? Then I'll pick someone. Okay. Francis Fundesra, how are you doing this morning? Where's your pulse?
Hi, I'm good. I'm at 3. Can you hear me?
3 out of 5? Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, 3 out of 5. I've been quite a busy week and kidogo sauti yangu ni mzito sana, a flu kidogo.
Oh, pole.
Yes.
Pole sana. What is your one thing that you're avoiding that will have a good impact on your life?
Past that, first, I'm really thinking of it.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
All right. Okay, thanks, Francis.
Yeah,
Um,
something.
yes. I'll have one more person share. Doreen, CPF. Where's your pulse?
Hi, everyone. My pulse is at solid 3.
3 out of 5.
Yeah, 3 out of 5.
What's contributing? What's the missing two?
I'm not sure. Could be the weather. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's cold now.
I don't know. I think I expected more rain. So seems like that is over.
Okay.
Yeah. I want it
All
to be a bit
right.
cooler.
You need it to be a bit cooler.
Yeah.
When people were shocked by the rains. I guess they are
Yeah.
timely. It was too hot.
Mm.
Okay, Doreen. So what's your one thing you're avoiding that would have a good impact on your life? It could be big or small.
Um, um, joining the gym.
Mm. That's a
Yeah.
nice starting the gym.
Yes.
Good. I can relate to that one. I started and I've quit already. It's February. But
Yeah.
thanks for that. Thanks for sharing. I'll ask a community member as well. Cynthia, what's your pulse? Where are you starting at?
Hello. My pulse today is at a 4 currently. I'm feeling really good about how this session will go, and I'm looking forward to the weekend. So that's nice. I'm glad it's ready. And the one thing that I am currently avoiding that I know would be really helpful is let's see. I will also put on the health aspect of knowing that I'm supposed to be doing something to actively grow my health, but it's just not been happening. So, yeah, I think I'd also incline there. I don't know if it's like because it's February and the resolutions have become less pressuring. I don't know, but it's a discipline issue. So, yeah, I need to have a conversation with myself on that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. I think that team needs a different WhatsApp group.
Yeah, we need like a support group.
All right. Okay. Thanks, Cynthia. Barbara, I see you have your hand up. Um, where's your pulse at?
Hello. Sorry, I know you had called, but I think I got locked out a
Oh,
bit. My pulse is at a 4. It's been a very busy week. It's audit season, so you can imagine. What
I
is the
think
one thing I'm currently avoiding that will such have a positive impact on my life? Um, Okay, what comes at the top of my head is I'd say being bold, just taking some proactive, bold decisions. It's something that I've been struggling with for a while. Just building that confidence to make some bold decisions. And it's actually one of the things that we are discussed with my founder at my one-on-one meetings. So, because me personally, I don't have that courage, but it's something I'm working on. Yeah, I think that's what it is for me.
okay. So putting yourself in places where you can be, that require you to be bold as well, and situations that require you to be bold. All right. Okay. Thanks, Barbara. Thanks everyone as well for sharing your pulse. I'm seeing even just from the responses, there's quite a few gym and workout submissions. There's also quite a few. An interesting one is I'm avoiding moments of silence, quiet time to really think. So I think it's always nice to just spark our minds for what those things could be. It sounds like from the pulse in the room, Good energy for today. It will get us through the call, but I also sense that, as I said, the week has been quite demanding as we are coming to the close of February. And so I want to shift gears into just thinking a bit about the week that passed and the exercise we asked you to do. So I don't know if everyone remembers the session last week where we talked about some 4 guiding principles when it comes to customer obsession. So we've been walking a journey. We started week 1 unpacking the trust equation, and you went back and had very in-depth one-on-ones with your founders in that first week. And even in that first conversation, we saw trust. You felt more trusted from your founder. In week 2, we asked you to go and understand who your customer is, right? And we asked you a few questions and you brought back some insights on who your ideal customer is. Now, last week, which is actually the heaviest week of this month's journey, we asked you to go back, speak to that customer, and actually map the journey. But before we did that, last week we had some 4 guiding principles and a story that I want to check in the room if we remember. So I'll put up a screen with some hints. Thanks, Peterson. Welcome. Thanks for sharing your pulse, and Alphonse as well. Welcome to the call. I also remembered that the Desra team and the Sawari team didn't get to share their ideal customer. So we'll start with you when we are sharing today. But last week, 4 principles on customer obsession. Anyone remember what those were? Alphonse, I can see your hand. Did you want to share? I think you're muted.
Yes, good morning, team.
Good morning.
Yes, on the customer obsession principles, we learned 4. Number 1 was choosing your primary customer. And number 2, mapping the entire journey. And number 3, build your customer cadence. And 4, change, measure, and repeat. I think that's exactly what we learned.
Wow, Alphonse is like, word for word. I think the last week's part of the call where Beverly repeated the session really challenged people. I can see you took notes. Thanks for sharing that. That's actually spot on. So find your primary customer. Number 2, you said?
You map the entire journey.
Map their journey. And then set up
you build the customer cadence.
The cadence. And then the last one is?
You change, measure, then repeat.
Measure and repeat. Okay. Thanks for that. I think the other part of that was a bit of the story that really we anchored on. I saw Gerald put up your hand, or had you wanted to share the principles? Do you remember the Dio story?
I remember it a little faintly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember, was it the story about the business in, I don't remember the exact location, but it was basically anchored on these particular principles where from the beginning it wasn't doing as well. But eventually, once they understood their customer, mapped their journey, and generally they were able to fine-tune their services and products to their customers, and eventually it boomed. I don't know if that is the same story we're referring to.
That is the story Thank you. Thank you so much. That is the Dio story, and really painted the picture of what finding your customer and walking their journey, a journey in their shoes really is. So out of this exercise, we then asked you to go back and draw your own customer journey based on the Dio one. And if you opened the guide that we shared, we also shared our own community journey. And we understood at some point in the week when we spoke to you, we're like, okay, there are a few challenges or a few struggle points that's worth addressing in this call today when we have time together. So we had a couple of things, and I'm going to put them in the room and just see how did you feel doing the two things we asked you to do? Number one was go and speak to a customer. Now, the things we had back from you were, for some people, that was difficult because they are not necessarily customer facing. And so we had a bit of, I don't always speak to customers, so it feels out of the blue. How many people felt like that? And we'll just be honest today so that we can be the most helpful and help you think about that. How many people felt like, how do I start speaking to a customer? You can just put your hands up or something of the emojis. Thanks, Barbara. Thanks, Jane. Anyone else who thought it was difficult to talk to a customer? Anyone else? You. Thank you. Peterson as well. All right. Do you want to just give a bit of color as to why? Maybe Simiu? Why was that difficult? Not putting you on the spot. Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I would say for me it was more of first, like I'm not in that department where I'm like regularly facing the customer or like speaking to them. And even when I am, it's just about like a solution that we're providing them, maybe a digital product, an app or something like that. And then like you're getting to present to them like the workflow or like how it goes and all that. So, but for this one, it was kind of like a random conversation with a customer. So like first of all, like like we always respect the customer's time. So like just trying to find the one that would accept to meet is a challenge. But then also now I felt like kind of out of place just asking those questions because you're not usually the customer's like contact person. Most of the time maybe they see you, but now you're like, okay, so in terms of like this gig that we lost, what could we have done better? So it was kind of a challenge to first of all like explain why you want to meet and all that, like just breaking that barrier. But then once like the meeting started, I realized that the customers are actually very willing to provide you with feedback. So it wasn't the meeting itself wasn't a difficult thing because it was the customer was actually willing to provide feedback. The difficult part was like the before stage where you're like, how do I handle this? I'm not used to this. Yeah, something like that.
It's a bit uncomfortable to start with because you're like, why am I asking? There's that barrier. Does anyone relate with what Simiu is describing? Just unmute and share. That's how we are most helpful. Do you relate with what Simiu is describing? That initial discomfort.
Hi.
Hi, Jane.
Yeah, first of all, allow me to have my camera off. I'm working from home today and I'm on leave. So I'd say that I do relate 100% because the fear to first get the feedback from the client comes in because you're scared about what they may tell you. The second being is especially what he said, when we are doing account management, not every time you're dealing with all these clients. So you're kind of scared because I haven't been talking to them, or I've really taken my time before I ever called them after maybe we worked with them. So there was a lot of fear. And I think in the beginning, we actually found ourselves talking to the customers. We feel we kind of have a rapport and they may give us a certain feedback. But then later, after we met with our founder, he challenged us to call even those customers who we fear, who we've not talked for in a long time, and we had to do that. So there was a lot of fear to actually do it, but yes, we were challenged and we saw the best way to go about it.
Okay. Thanks, Jane. Just for context, how many customers did you speak to in your team?
So in the beginning, we started with one. So on our side, we realized our business model is two-sided. So we were speaking to one on the side of the brand and one on the side of the creator. But later on, we decided to actually call up to three and three on this other side. So in fact, it's something that we want to do and now call even more, even to just get more feedback, because we felt it was an interesting activity and that feedback is really helping and coming in handy.
All right. Thanks, Jane. Thanks for sharing that. I think there's and I hope, Ken and Kwe, I hope you're taking note as we go through the reflections, so that you can tell us what the best way to think about some of these barriers are, because they're real. There's that discomfort. I'm not so sure that I have access to or can even run a customer conversation. So there was another thing that we had that was very interesting, and I think leads from the story that we shared as the anchoring story for last week. And so we had at some point that this felt like a marketing and sales exercise. So if I'm not in marketing or sales, why am I, talking to a customer and mapping their journey? That feels like something I should be doing only if I'm selling. Who related with that sentiment? Who feels like it felt very sales and marketing? Okay, thanks, Simi. You initially did. I'll pick someone to just see how they react to that. Christine from CK and Co. How did you feel about the exercise?
Hi everyone. So honestly, it was an interesting exercise to take on because the model, we run a law firm. So, and for our business model, everyone is a potential client. Even you are a client. Anyone here in this meeting can be our client. Anyone who has a business, anyone who has it's sorry, there's an echo because of my colleague. Okay. So yeah, when we had a conversation with one of our clients, and he was very we deal in conveyancing and commercial transactions, so he's a real estate developer. And we asked him, we were scared of having a conversation that feels very, that can cross boundaries in terms of do you feel comfortable having such conversations with us? But also we have regular calls with them, but only when we are handling when we're handling clients and we're handling their transactions and we're handling their businesses. So even if it's updates, we give them updates regularly. If it's when we're talking about mapping their journey, we open a file for them and we walk with them that journey through the transaction until it's complete. So for him, basically what he's like, sometimes I just want you guys to be more, what's it called? Not formal, not as formal as we do. Yeah, they appreciate that friendliness from us instead of having very button-up type of conversations. They'd want a check-in here and there. They'd want to, come to site, see how the project is going without it being just because of business, which is what it's different for different people. So other people would want, let's keep it professional. But for him, he's very, you come to site, you come see, so that when you're even dealing with the other clients who maybe are purchasing from that project, it makes it easier to explain what it is. And you also have a trust relationship with him, so that because our main priority is him and the project being well received, and us not having legal issues in terms of how the whole thing is constructed up to completion. So see, if we have that trust and we've been there, we've had conversations with him, we know the backstory outside of even the legal work, it makes it easier, which I know is, yeah, it's completely different from what we are trained in school to do, because we're trained to be very formal. So, but yeah, it's not
Okay.
marketing. It's an enjoyable, it's nice to see different people and how they receive and how they want to be treated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it sounds like you're very on the customer, like you speak to the customers a lot.
Yes.
So I'm not sensing there was a challenge. You dove right in and got the insights from the customer that you spoke to.
Yes.
Okay. All right. I think there's thanks for sharing that. There's one last insight that I want to ask. Okay, Jane from Tuva. So you said at the beginning there was a bit of awkwardness, partly from trying to be mindful of the client's time and partly from figuring out how to naturally flow the conversation. The first few minutes felt slightly formal as I worked to find the rhythm, but once I got past that, the discussion became more relaxed and conversational. Okay. And from there, they opened up more and felt like a genuine exchange rather than a structured Q&A. Okay. And I hope the guide was helpful as you walked through that journey. I think the other last sentiment that we had from you was, I'm not quite sure where I fit in this customer journey. How does it relate to me and my role? And I'll ask, especially the ones who had a very interesting context. I'll ask Lynn from CPF. How did you feel about that? Was it clear how this fits into your role?
Thank you for your question. At first, in terms of internal customers, it fits into our role. But in terms of external customers, because our role is we are in product research and innovation, the team comprises of research, internal research consultants, and a monitoring team who monitor the products. So it was like for external customers, we are not ideally customer facing, and that was, but in terms of getting in terms of internal customers, it makes sense. But it makes sense for the research team, but not fully for the product team. So that was the challenge. But eventually, as we did the customer journey mapping, we were able to see how the inputs of customers can affect the products that we are creating, and how the feedback of customers can affect the monitoring process. Yeah.
Okay. So Lynn, just to be clear, when you drew out your journey, you drew for the internal customers?
No, for external. The people who consume our products, the products we've created.
Okay. Okay. You drew for the external customer. All right.
Yeah.
I think even in the discussion, that's a good one to have, so that we are able to also just contextualize it for you.
Yeah, we focused on we have, for CPF, it's a group of companies And we are the product research team is it's a group function. So we create products for the group. That is pension products, real estate products, ICT products, laser insurance products, capital advisory products, that kind of thing. But then we are not fully customer facing. But now our customer journey was for the people who consume the products. Our main, like, we looked at one of the main things, which is like pension, how they are consuming the products, their journey before they uptake our products. Yeah, but mostly our role deals with the internal functions. Like, we get ideas internally. However, for the monitoring team, they do the monitoring part once someone has, consumed the product. I don't know if
They
that
do
answers the question.
more for external, but you do more for internal customers.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay, that's helpful clarification. Thank you.
Okay.
For that, I'll ask just one last team to share what particularly felt challenging about this exercise. Desra, I'll pick, because now Alphonse has spoken. I'll pick Ndegwa. How are you doing, and what felt challenging about this customer journey mapping exercise?
Okay, good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Okay, the program was very insightful. It helped me, first of all, to understand really the customer's journey, and also to experience how customers trust us. So the most important thing that felt difficult is the trust that comes from the customers. Some customers may not trust you properly. That is in terms of communication, competence, and sometimes they don't think it's safe with you. So that is some of the challenges that I felt in the process of mapping the customer journey. So for me, it was also an eye-opener that enabled me to know how I should ensure that the customer is safe with me, feels safety, and also feels well communicated. Then it helped me to know how I will improve customers' trust towards me. So basically, the trust issue was now the main concern for me.
Okay, thanks, Ndegwa. What was hard about drawing it out? What was hard? When you thought of the customer journey, what felt challenging?
Okay, pardon? Yeah, I'm losing you.
Oh yeah, it's breaking a bit. I was asking what felt challenging, and maybe even your team can chime in.
What came?
Let me ask someone from I don't know if you're seated together. Maybe I'll ask Alphonse to give some. I see you're together. What felt hard about doing this exercise?
Okay,
or challenge? Thanks, Ndegwa.
Yes, we are together with Jim Lee, and he had a difficult time logging in, so I think you can say something.
Yeah. Good morning. I had a problem with the connection. That's why I'm with Alphonse. The hard part of the channel is when the customer asks hard questions. Like in my case, he said that he has been working with us for 4 years, but we have not appreciated him with any gift. So that is a challenge, really. It's a hard part. to harm people. But all in all, that we are good. That is the journey we are that is the step we are making, and we want the feedback so that in future we can make those arrangements, and we are going to work with them appropriately.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that was the piece of feedback you got from your customers. They want to feel appreciated.
Yeah.
After they worked with you for 4 years. All right. Thank you so much. Okay. Thanks for sharing what your recaps of the session are. I think they give us a very good picture of how we can be helpful, and even just the things that we need to reset in our minds that allow us to now think of the customer journey, or walk the journey of customer obsession through the customer's eyes. And so what I will ask Ken and Koi is, from the responses from the last exercise, what are you hearing in the room? What are you hearing?
Okay. Hi, everyone. Good to see everybody on the call. First, it's very encouraging that at least everybody on this call knows they're on the call because they attempted the exercise. We've taken a good sample size. I think we've not heard from Tanj, Beverly of Sawari, but I'm assuming you also took time to speak to customers. A few of our concerns just from hearing you, especially that one of how does this relate to what I do every day? What really is the point? I think that fear has been reduced a little bit, because I think when people spoke to customers, they understood that actually there are some insights, that you get from these customers that are very valuable. Whether you're like CPF that's serving an internal customer, at the end of the day, that product research function is serving an end customer at the end of the day. All the businesses that are here or that exist serve an end customer at the end of the day. In terms of, I like, the way Simiyu was very honest. He said, hey, I thought it was a very random conversation. Like, how do I just pick up the phone and check on you? Like, it's not related to any project, nothing. The use of the word random was interesting. But on speaking to the customer, actually, they realized they like to be checked up on. Christine from CK and Company Advocates, you realize that as much as you're a lawyer and your customer wants you to keep them out of trouble, they also want you to engage in the business, to immerse. And those are the things that will differentiate you from all the other law firms that do real estate and conveyancing. Even for the Destra team, your customers are saying they want to be appreciated. So these conversations are always very, very valuable. And I had something similar from Twiva. I loved the honesty around you are afraid to get feedback. And it's true, none of us likes criticism. Even us, as we are asking you, what did you hear? What did you understand? We are really hoping everything is positive, which is not possible. The purpose of building business is to do one thing that's working continuously and to add the things that are working every day. So it's a progress, not perfection. What are we achieving here? What we are trying to really refine is how the businesses you work in and are building and are rowing at are built to carry the work. And that's why even Kenna asked, have you placed yourself in this journey that a customer works? And the way that business is built to carry the work can only be through the customer's eyes. When a customer walks into a law firm, why did they choose this law firm and not the next one and the other one and the other one? So we need to get better at how this business is built to carry the work for the customer. Even in that product research function, the fact that you're not building products in isolation is actually that it gets better for the end customer. So we have listened. That's what I've heard. I don't know if Ken has anything to add. So having had that, I think we can talk a little bit. Ken, I probably move to yeah, that's what we've had before we move now into the journeys that we all created. And let's remember it's progress, not perfection. So we'll share some feedback. And I don't know how, Kenna, you wanna do that.
Yeah. Okay. I think what we wanted to do is try and spotlight one that just gives us a good example we can walk through. And also now just see how do we build and extract the insights from that. And so we chose, as usual, the first person to submit their customer journey mapping. And so shout out to the Tendepe team who ran the workshop, drew out their customer journey, and submitted it fast. I think they submitted on Tuesday, right? Or Wednesday, early on Wednesday. And so I think the representative from Tendepe will be Katrine, but actually we'll have the whole team plug in at certain points. And I know, Ko, you have specific things you're curious about their customer journey and what the process of that was.
Yes. So, hi, Katrine. Is she? I can't see her. Hi, Katrine.
Hi, Koi. Good morning.
There's a bit of an echo. Okay. Katrine, you're back?
Yes. Sorry about that. Good morning.
Good morning. What was your
I'm at a 3. It's
Okay.
I'm at a 3, which is good. I was really low Monday, Tuesday, so I think it's a good number.
All right. Okay. So let me start with walk us through the journey after we left each other on Friday. What was that journey like?
So after the Friday meeting, so there was an exit pulse. So we just took some time to do a bit of a reflection from the session that we had. It was quite the questions were quite deep. You had to really think, so to really think about them. So after that, it was so we just assigned each other customers to talk to. So most of last week was really spent on now just talking to these customers because it was hard getting some of these customers. But so we just spent a lot of time looking for customers to talk to and trying to gather that feedback. Yeah.
All right. And what did you hear from your customers?
So myself, let me speak for myself first. I'm in customer experience department. So whenever I call a customer, most of the time, it's like there's an issue going on. I'm trying to firefight. So I really thought customer obsession was centered around customer experience, just to make sure any customer issues are being resolved. So the first customer I talked to first actually thought there was an issue happening and I was calling to give them an update. But so once I explained, I'm just actually checking up on you, the conversation became easier. So I really didn't get much from the first customer I spoke to. They were not so open, but once so I got another customer and we really had a good conversation. Initially, it felt like they were giving feedback on their experience on the platform, not really taking me through the questions that I was asking. It was more of, I need this, I need an extra feature, I need an extra feature. But eventually, I was able to bring them back to whatever I was trying to achieve from that conversation.
Okay. And there were team members who are not in customer experience. For you, you understood why Komini has told you to talk to a customer. Who of your team members don't talk to customers every day and had to do this exercise?
So there was Barbara.
can see Barbara laughing.
There was Barbara, and then there was Brian Chenilil. So for them, we actually had to introduce them to these customers before they gave them a call.
Okay.
Yeah.
Before Barbara tells us how that experience was, Katrin, why did you think we asked Barbara and Brian to talk to those customers?
So I would say it's every person has a part to play in the customer journey. I think for Brian and Barbara to speak to these customers would really help them know where they fit in the customer journey. I think it has always been known it's either the people in sales or the people in CX who own these customers. But I think them speaking to these customers, getting their feedback, looking at that journey would really help them see where they can help in just improving that customer journey.
Okay. Let's hear from Barbara or Brian. How was that experience?
So Brian got an emergency. He was not able to join us today.
Okay, that's fine. So maybe Barbara, now you're the one who will have to tell us. What do you do for the business? Finance?
Yes, I'm in the finance team. Sorry. Okay. Sorry about that. Yeah, I'm in the finance team.
You're in the finance team.
Yes.
So you've been told to talk to a customer. This is the assignment. You have all your other work, and then you need to draw the journey. How was that experience?
Like I had earlier mentioned, remember this week it was audit week, so
Oh, okay.
So it was a bit awkward for me. Initially I was a bit concerned because even I was even telling Katrin, since I'm not usually the face of Tendepe, I don't usually talk to customers on a day-to-day basis. If I was to speak to a customer, how sure am I that they would be open to me because they don't know me? I've not formed a rapport with them. So actually, it was my biggest concern. But Katrin alicheza kaa yeye akawaongelesha. So actually, when I tried to talk to two customers. One of them, he was a bit formal, so I didn't really get much from the conversation. But then I spoke to a different customer, and initially I was a bit tensed because it was a bit of a tense conversation, but along the way, I think it just flew naturally. So actually, I was getting a lot of insights from this other customer. He works in a spa business, so I managed to get a lot of insight from him. It was a bit of a challenge for me because I usually don't speak directly to customers, but at the same time, I'm glad that I actually spoke to this customer because actually hearing it directly from them and not maybe from the CX team or from the sales team, at least you're able to understand where they are coming from, and you get insights now that might help you even think. As much as I'm in finance, how can I fit in? What can I do to help even my team members? So initially, it was a bit of an awkward moment for me, but along the way, I started to appreciate it a little bit. Yeah.
Okay. How long have you been running finance at Tendepe?
I joined in 2023, so it's been 3 years now.
Okay. What's the one thing you realized you need to do differently after talking to these customers?
The one thing I needed to do differently, I think just getting out of my shell or out of my box, rather than just thinking that, oh, I'm microfinance, sales do their things, CX do their thing. I think that even if I'm in finance, if there's an insight we get from sales team, instead of just leaving it to them to figure it out or leaving it to CX to figure it out, what if even me, I can just chime in and see how I can also help them? I might also have some ideas I can share with them rather than putting myself in a box and say, oh, Nico Finance, the only things I'll do is now finance all these issues to do with finance. I won't help with the customer journey. So I think that's the thing that I think will challenge me, just to step out of my box, if I can call it that way.
Okay. Thank you, Barbara. So, who has a question for the Tendepe team? Everyone reached a different stage in this exercise. Not everybody completed their homework to the journey. And they've graciously allowed us to use their journey as an example, and we'll talk about that so that we can all practically go back and see, okay, what can we do differently? Who has a question for the team or for us? Any hands up? Kenna, can you see any hands up?
I think Katrine has her hand up.
Yes, Katrine.
And then Beverly.
And then Beverly, okay.
So there was a part of the journey, the 4 principles, where we had to build a customer cadence. So I was just a bit confused, or I would like to understand at what point does it become too much? Like you're talking to this customer a lot, it becomes annoyance.
Okay. Good question. I'll ask them to answer later. Beverly, you had a question?
Hi, good morning, everyone. Yeah, just a quick question for Katrine. Although I'm an operations manager, my role is highly customer experience as well. So I was wondering, as a customer experience personnel, how did you, given that you're now involving the rest of your team in the customer outreach, did you feel like you gained a new perspective that you didn't have before? Because you can find that you're able to collect information from a customer, but your perspective is so narrow or defined. I'm wondering if you found that involving people from other departments enabled you to gain a new insight. I hope my question is clear.
Yes, it did. So when we were looking at our customer journey, and Barbara pointed this out, so there was a really huge gap between marketing and from now marketing to sales. So what we discovered is, yes, we do marketing, we will get a lot of leads, and then these leads have to be now transferred to the sales team. So no one was really measuring the percentage of the leads coming in and those that were translating to now becoming customers. So that part of the journey, both us and the sales team had not really, that gap, we had not really seen it. But I think now from the session when we met now to map out the journey, that came out strongly, and it's something actually we are looking to fix. I hope I've answered you.
Beverly, is that helpful?
Yep. That's totally helpful. Thank you, Katrine.
And that's really critical, because also the purpose of business, whether it's a law firm or whatever it is to have more customers this year than you had last year. So in the case of Katrine, because that's how you grow, that's how we grow, and our salaries increase, right? So in the case of Katrine, they realized there is marketing. When a customer is marketed to, then there are people who are interested, they generate all these leads, but the leads were not converting to sales because there's something there in the journey that's broken, where marketing is not talking to sales to say these are the leads and then how do we convert. And that is why you need to keep walking in your customer's shoes so that you can understand where is something broken? Where is there a gap? Where can we get more out of this process? So thanks for sharing that, Katrine, in terms of like a real life example. The purpose of business is to sell to more people tomorrow than you did yesterday. Anyone else with a question for the team at Tendepe? I know we have Katrine, Barbara, who's in finance. Brian, you said had an emergency. Is Mercy with us? Mercy, do you have anything to add about this exercise that you did together, the four of you?
Yes, so my name is Mercy from the sales team at Tendepe. So during the entire journey, we were really asking ourselves, why can't we now maybe get a CRM tool to now filter what comes from marketing to now sales, so that we don't lose customers or even lose leads on it. Because we realize that just like Katrina said, we get so many leads from marketing and we cannot even translate them maybe to sales. And again, we realized we also have we need like a dashboard to even figure out for the number of clients that we have, how many were not able to transact to the optimum compared to the previous month.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now for you, Mercy, now that you did this exercise, what would you advise, let's say, your colleague, like let's say in the case of Desra, I know I'm putting you on the spot, and you can ask even Katrine, Barbara, since you people did this exercise and submitted. So in the case of Desra, what they do is they manufacture bread. They're a commercial bakery, and Peterson and the team can sell this better. And basically, they make sure that the bread is delivered to different outlets all over. What would you tell them in terms of why this exercise would be important for them?
I wish I knew the customer journey, but again, for me, I would say it's good for them to now have unpack the customer journey so that they're able to know whatever works, let's say for one client or even 2 or 3, they can now repeat it and better the entire process. So if maybe whatever journey they have currently, or maybe they need to do a few changes, works for them, they can now copy, better it, and now repeat it to like all their clients.
Peterson and team, do you have a question for the team at Tendepe or for us around the journey?
Well, thank you very much. I think I have one for Tendepe. First of all is to appreciate them because of their submission, and they were number 1. Congratulations. Number 2, sooner than later, we are partnering with them. We will be partners sooner, and we are looking forward to work with them. I know there is something in progress, which ideally I know it will be of our benefit because of our services and other things that we do. Now, the question that I wanted to ask this Tendepe, was the approach ideally on marketing or sales perspective? Again, what drove you on who to call? Because I have heard you, and there is part of sales, there is part of marketing, but ideally, what drove you on who to call, or whom did you call? First of all, was it in sales perspective or marketing perspective? Maybe. I think Mercy can respond to that because Mercy is more in sales.
Actually, Mercy is not in sales, no. Mercy is in finance, by the way. But
sales.
anyway, yes. All is in sales. Fantastic. So over to you. How did you approach it? And was it from a marketing angle, a sales angle? And how did you decide which customer to call?
Okay. I cannot say we are doing very, very well in marketing. But from the marketing leads that we get, like maybe people who click on the website, and again, we have so many referrals, like we get, Katrin can attest, we have so many referrals per day of clients who are referring other clients. So you'll find that from her desk, she's able to even get leads from referrals and that. And she's also able to pick all the leads from marketing. So from that, she's able to now transfer to the salespeople, now us. And then now we decide on for the product maybe that we're pushing for that specific time, the clients to now call and even book meetings. So yes, marketing has played a very big role on it. And again, we on referrals, I think 90% of our clients we get on Tendepe are mainly referrals. Katrine, do you need anything to add?
No, just to echo that. So for the customers that we called, because we called customers from, so we didn't call customers in the same industry. We called, so like Barbara called one from Spa, we called someone in lending, we called someone in manufacturing, and actually that came out strongly. So when we asked them, how do you know about Tendepe? Actually, we spoke to 6 customers. 5 out of 6 customers knew Tendepe through a customer who was already using Tendepe.
Okay. Here is the thing to everybody is that this journey is not from a sales perspective, it's not from an operations perspective, it's not from a finance perspective, it's from a customer perspective. So very simply, what we needed you to draw is from the time a customer hears about you, how do they walk through that business, through everybody, until they pay money and then give you business again. That is actually very simply put the customer journey. And so if you look at it that way, then you know this customer, other than hearing about you, everybody who's on this call and is a rower actually has a role to play and has a space in that journey. And the point of drawing out that journey is to make sure that nothing is broken along the way. Be it a law firm, be it Tanch Curtains, someone comes to the shop, how did they hear about you? How do you make sure if 2 people heard about you today, tomorrow it's 10 people? How do you make sure that once that customer comes to the curtain shop, that what they select, you communicate it to the production people so that it's not in color red and someone wanted color blue? So this journey is actually, there are many people call it different things, but it's basically from the customer's eyes. How do they walk through your business, get what they want, pay for it, and are very, very happy, so that the next time they want the same thing, they come back to you and also they tell other people about you. That is how you get to be as big as M-Pesa, because now M-Pesa doesn't need to market. We all just use it because they obsessed over what us as customers want. Whether somebody is in innovation, whether they're in research, everyone contributes to satisfying that customer. Once you have drawn this out, and I don't know, Kenna, do you want us to maybe look at a few of the samples, or do people, what do you propose? Because there is a way of drawing it. It would be good if there are any questions at this point in terms of how to draw it out. Then Ken will speak to the fact that you all need to understand who passes the ball to the next person and the next person and the next person so that you deliver to this customer. It is not okay that you don't know how the ball ends up with you and how that ball is connected to the end goal, which is making the customer happy and bringing them back again. So, Kenna, when you listen to where we are at and where everyone in the room is at,
I see there's a question from Peterson.
Oh, okay. Yes, Peterson.
Well, allow me to ask this. Considering we all deal with customers, and perhaps you are one of our customers whom maybe I was to call. But again, we are in manufacturing company. And the customers we deal with, maybe majority of members in this program don't deal with the kind of customer we deal with. You know, in our company, we deal with bread, and this bread we don't sell. The bigger percent we don't sell to institutions. We sell it to individuals. And these individuals are the people, maybe where you deliver their products is not their home, or maybe it is not somewhere, if tomorrow you come, you will find them. And at times, it is difficult because these people will ask for their orders, we will supply, but when it comes to time of doing payment corrections, you will not find them. And where the challenges, or maybe we are facing issues with us, because us as Desra, that is where our main problem is coming from. When we try to reach these customers, we don't find them. And when we get them, even in that conversation, maybe the one Jimry was saying, the customer was asking about the incentive or maybe something to give them. It was just to pass time. But ideally, the customer thought maybe someone is calling to ask for payment. And they don't want to pay. They want to you know, nikupiga rap tu na wewe. PE, naitangwa PE. So I don't know the approach, or maybe what can really help us overcome this situation. Because like personally, I called the 3 and one had to hang up after hearing me saying, I'm Peterson calling you from Desra Ventures. Yeah, Desra. And that gentleman had to hang. I sent him a text and I said, I'm Peterson, head of sales, and I wanted to talk to you. Now, later he called. Ile deni yenyu nitawalipa tu haina shida. You know, this is becoming, yeah, I was not asking about the debt. I actually wanted to understand their journey. But to that extent, you're finding yourself, oh, what kind of customer are these? What are we supposed to do? You know, it is good to ask because we want to be helped. Thank you, Koi.
Thank you so much, Peterson. Now, these are the questions we want. Because there's no point of saying you're like Christine at the law firm who just goes and it's one corporate customer who's paying, you know? So that is one question about a business in manufacturing, like for Peterson. I'll put that to Ken. And then the other question that was there around customer was from Team Twiva. I had them saying, when you're talking about the customer, as we believe we have two. There is a brand and then there is a creator. So how do you think about that? So let's answer those questions, because there is no point of doing this program if you've not identified your primary customer and who you're seeking to serve and do better for every day. So yeah, Ken, I like Peterson's question. These guys thought he was debt collecting. So they didn't even, and you're telling him to draw a journey. Yes?
I'm just saying, just to add on that dual customer dynamic for CPF, the internal, external customer as well.
Okay. So those are 3 unique situations where we have Twiva, they serve brand and creator. How do they think about the journey? Then there's Peterson's, who's a mass market product like bread. So anytime they're talking to a customer, they think it's debt collection. Then there's CPF, who are saying, as we don't even deal with that, we are in the group level. We are innovating for different customers. So how to think about the customer in that case?
Yeah, these are they're very, very interesting questions. Maybe I set a context by just sharing maybe some ways to think about it. So the first one, and I've heard that word a little bit, we're scared of calling the customer. Sometimes the customer is also scared of taking the call from us. It's an awkward kind of conversation. What does that mean? It means at least the rowers on this call, at least when you feel scared, it means that then, like, talking to customers is not sort of in your everyday path. It's not, your day job doesn't take you towards customers. And I want to persuade you to think about that and do it differently. So look, the purpose of business actually is to serve customers. You know, I always say, what better way than always obsessing about what the customer experience is. Like every single day, I find it very empowering. Even today when I woke up, to just say, okay, how many people are coming to this call? Where did we leave them? What homework have they done? What does the homework that they've done tell us about how we read last year's class? And then what are we going to do better to make sure that our customers, which is you people on this call, have a better experience every day? It's like every single day, as a person working in any organization, you should always obsess over customers, because that's how business actually survives. Whether you're in finance, whether you're in sales, whether you're in customer experience and all of that, the purpose of the entire machine that you work for is to serve customers. So it's very important to, as a person, to develop that basic posture, mindset, attitude for where are our customers today? How are they? Where are they? And what is it that's being done across to serve them, and what's my own part? That's number one. Number two, once you decide that, then obsessing over some part of the customer journey is actually everyday work. It's not one of those things you do when customers are unhappy. You don't do it periodically to check on them. It has to be in your work design to worry about customers. That's actually what customer obsession is. And I'll give you a very powerful story. Who can tell me what the greatest mass market business is in this country? Mass market means they're serving a lot of customers. So you can imagine it's daunting. You know, when you're serving one or two customers, you can talk to them. When you're serving many customers, it's another story. Who's the best mass market business? One or two people? You can chat, write on the chat.
Peterson, Brenda, Beverly.
Got it. So I think a bunch of people are talking about Safaricom. So many years ago, I think about 7 or so, maybe 8 years ago, I attended a class like this one, leadership class with the Safaricom guy. It was called Peter. It's called Peter Arena. In fact, Koi and I bumped into him at the supermarket the other day. So Peter Arena was a chief commercial officer of Safaricom. He had built his career in Unilever, then he ended up as chief consumer officer of Safaricom. He joined Safaricom when Safaricom was launching. So by this time, he had been at Safaricom for about 8 years. When we were sitting in class, he had been the chief commercial officer of Safaricom for 8 years. By that time, Safaricom was just the market leader. So Peter, he told me every Thursday of his career, or for 8 years when he was the chief consumer officer of Safaricom, every Thursday he drove out. And he decided that he was going to drive around Kenya every Thursday, and he would stop at every shopping center across his journey. So he'd say, today I'm going to go out, I'm going to go to Nanyuki, then I'll go drive to Nakuru, and he drove back to Nairobi. So he was on the road until Saturday evening. Because Sunday he wanted to be with his family. And then he stopped at every shopping center and he asked 3 questions. he asked them, do you have scratch cards? Do you have SIM cards? And then he asked them to show me, the posters of the latest Safaricom promotion. And he took notes and he stopped at every center, Thursday, Friday, and so on. So that probably was driving about 1,000 kilometers every single week. Now on Monday, and he took a route at random. On Monday morning, he would talk to his distribution team and discuss what he saw on the route, right? And basically, if he was on your route, you will be in that meeting. And normally, Safaricom, the culture was very simple. If the bosses didn't like what they saw, you went home. Like there was no forgiveness when Safaricom was building the business. So if you didn't like what you see, if there were no SIM cards in your route, there were no scratch cards, no posters, you went home. So many years later, what do you guys see when you're driving across the countryside? What do you see?
Sorry, Ken, your sound has gone low.
What's the last thing you had from Tiva?
It's back.
Okay. What do you guys see when you drive around the countrysides?
You see the Safaricom branded kiosks, Safaricom, Airtel, all of that.
They're all green. Safaricom branding. It's like the shops are green. It's like the standard. That is customer obsession. That is every single week. Somebody spending 1,000 hours to go and experience where the customer journey actually starts. Because a Safaricom customer journey starts from somebody going to a shop. So, and you saw that guy was not doing that in response to a customer problem. He was doing that as part of it. He had decided that the way that we are going to win this battle of customers is we are going to make sure that in every shopping center, everywhere in the country, there'll be scratch cards, SIM cards, and there'll be Safaricom branding. That's customer obsession. That's a kind of thing. So when you think about your kind of business, and when you think about the steps of how the customer comes to you, which part of that can you, as a person, as a rower, own and obsess in that way? So when I think about Peterson's question, so Peterson, I think you're responsible for sales. In a sense, you're like Peter Arena's equivalent. What is that version for you, right? Not all of us can be Peter Arena, right? Like
none of us can be.
That is special. But we have to know our customers better than most people. What is that likely to be? Are your customers the kiosks? Are you the kind of person who says, fine, every X number of days, I will go out to the kiosks at random and just sit in that kiosk and watch when people come. And then they come, they ask for Broadways, you watch the people that ask for Broadways, they come, they ask for Desra, you talk to the kiosk guy, you ask them, how do they choose between Broadways and Delight? And then, somewhere in that journey, somebody tells, this Delight bread, people believe the color blue is fresh, or people believe the color red is fresh. It's those little things like those that you get to know on a daily basis that cause you to change some things because you're hearing, you're closer because you're so in touch with the customer journey, you're starting to hear some things and to do some things that other people are not doing. That's how that journey generally works. So when you think about staying in touch with customers, don't think about it as a response to crisis or a one-off thing. Think about which part of that journey can you make it your day job, right? Or something so regular, and then you use it as a basis of improving the customer journey. Then there's a question of two types of customers, right? The branding, the influencer. Very perfectly okay. It's very similar to us. We have the founder is a customer. The ROA is a customer. So just draw the journeys for both, right? Both of them have a very unique journey. Draw it and obsess over it for both of those. And even if you have, and then the third scenario where you have internal customers, so you probably have, they are probably sequenced, right? So it makes sense to say, what is the external customer's journey to the business? So just understand it. And even if you're not in touch with those customers, it doesn't hurt to go and spend time with the people that actually spend time with the customer. So if the organization is wired in a way that you can't go out and talk to customers, go to the people that talk to customers and just say, why do the customers choose us? How do they find us? What do they value the most about us? And then from that journey, then draw the journey to your own space, so that then how do I serve those people so that they serve the customers well? And you are doing that because you have a good understanding of the journey of the external customer into us. And then now you have a good understanding of the journey between the internal customers to us at CPF that are working in research and so on. I would think about those things. So in summary, don't make it a one-off. Make it a consistent part of a certain rhythm, right? A weekly rhythm, daily rhythm, weekly rhythm, monthly rhythm, to be in touch with customers, to listen, and to improve something based on that. And then if you have more than one customer touch points, map all of them and manage them with the same kind of rhythm, cadence, and also intentionality. So those are probably my reflections.
And Peterson, don't be discouraged by the customer who's refusing to pick your call. That is an opportunity to build trust in the relationship. So maybe now you need to go check on them and reduce the fear and say, actually, sometimes I just want to check on you. And maybe you might draw out the journey and say, actually, maybe you should not be the person collecting. I don't know. But of course, you will, once you draw the journey step by step from the customer's perspective, once you use the customer's perspective, the customer's words, you will understand what the best way to continuously grow the business is. I hope that's helpful.
Maybe one more.
That's fine.
Okay. I have heard you and I've heard Ken, and that's wonderful. My issue's still not sorted. Okay. Now, you see, this kind of customer I'm working with is a customer who will even make me change the vehicle as I visit them. Because it is like they have marked my vehicle and they know when I'm coming. It's like they are using CCTV all along the road to say Peterson is coming, or maybe one of the sales rep is coming. And you see, ideally, we are not even after maybe debt correction or so. We just want to have that relationship and also to understand them. What are these challenges that make them not to pay in time? Because we have a cut-off time for payment and also the ordering. They normally adhere to the ordering cut-off time. But when it comes to payment, once they issue their orders, their phone goes off. And again, we don't want to lose this market. It is a very competitive market. We kind of feel like if we deny them their supply, another competitor will come and convince them that I'll be reliable, I'll be giving you. You see, that kind of, we are in a quagmire, let me say, in a dilemma. We don't know where to go, what to do. But I feel I'm in the safe hand. Welcome.
Yeah, that very specific question, Peterson, is an interesting one. And we should have a call and just explore that. Yeah, because it's it's dangerous that a good business has customers that are coming towards you and
not running away
and that's the purpose of business, right? You want customers to come to you, and you want customers to be able and willing to pay, right? That's if one of those three things are breaking, then you should worry, because then do you have a business? If your customer is running away from you, and customer doesn't want to pay you, there's a problem there. Then do you have a business? And then what do you mean that for a customer that's running from you doesn't want to pay you, that you're fearing losing them? Then maybe that customer should go to competitors, because they'll kill the competitors' business for you.
So we need tuition there. Cynthia, you can do your level so that we understand.
So we need to get on a call and understand your context. But you should not. I can understand Peterson, and I think you're having the right reaction, which is worrying about those three things. They should be worrying you every day. You should not be sleeping.
Yeah, the customer should be able and willing to pay.
Yeah, they should be looking for you.
Not a customer.
Able and willing to pay. That's the makings of a good customer and a good business.
I saw, yes, I wanted to just call out, Gerald, you had your hand up. I don't want to miss your question.
Yes, thank you so much. I think I'm also learning from the experience of others. Now, my question is, I really wanted Ken to also mention something briefly. From our perspective, I don't know if ours is a little different, but our engagement with our customers first is defined maybe by a contract, because we are service providers, so we provide ERP systems. So you'll realize maybe you have a customer who is we are delivering both, maybe a payroll system, leave, finance, procurement, all in one in one delivery. But sometimes you realize these are separated into different phases. So maybe in phase one you have finance and procurement and leave. Then later on phase two. So from our point of my point of view, maybe just to give context, there is the element of how does the customer first get to us, which is majorly dealt with. There's the marketing and the sales department. But then there's where now we come in as the project implementation team. So we come and maybe we implement, do the configuration, set up the initial setups, do the trainings, after which then there's once they go live, then there's another team that comes to do the support. So I look at it like the engagement we have with our customers is more of there are some specific issues, because once we get into an engagement, once we get into that contractual engagement with our clients, then it looks much like there's a possibility. Sometimes it's very hard for the client to run away or maybe leave and say they're dissatisfied with your product, because it takes a lot there. It's across all products. So most of the issues realize maybe they have support issues, and there's need to check on their turnaround time of being able to solve the issues as they raise them. Or maybe sometimes they're just a varied issues. I was just trying to reflect as Ken was speaking. Maybe from our point of view, now that we interact with the client after the contract has been signed, and then these will likely go into perpetuity, because even after you close the project, there still may be an SLA. So you need to sign an agreement and say, so this is how you will be supporting this particular client. That is after they are now hands-on using the system. So I would really also like to hear perspective, especially the customer journey in this particular context.
Okay. Thanks, Gerald, for the context. And what's a nagging question in your mind about your kind of business?
Sorry?
What is the question? I've understood the context very well. What specific question do you have on the customer journey?
So my question is, unlike maybe most of the experiences I've had where the customer comes and buys and then goes back, then makes another decision to come. Ours is more like, they have bought the product, so it looks like they're always going to be here.
I've understood the context. What is the question?
I think it's let's hear the question. I think.
So my question is really, so from our perspective, I've heard how you've responded to the others, or maybe how, because there are the specific things that, for instance, you're mentioning how for their payment, for a customer to decide not to pay, there has to be a specific issue. But for our case, you realize maybe they have even made the payment in prior, an installment for a service that is yet to be delivered. So my question is, in trying to map our customer journey, because most of the things we were getting were really feedback on maybe this particular, like somebody mentioned, maybe I want this product, I need additional this. So it's more of feedback on the product itself as opposed to the entire journey, because we would really like to use that experience of theirs even to think about maybe another client who is going to come to buy the same product, not necessarily this particular same client. I don't know if that's clear.
Yeah. I think I suspect I understand the question. I think, if you think about the customer journey, every business has a customer. And whether a customer is a business customer, consumer, high-end consumer, low-end consumer, consumers want to feel that they are served well. Every business exists to find its customers and to serve them well, whatever the thing that you're offering. So if you think about the customer journey of like a software business, and so a big part of that journey is actually in the delivery of a project. So when, because the projects take long, so that process, the customer will remember you 100% on how you deliver that project. It's the same principle. If you listen to the story of Safaricom, what was Peter Arena doing in that shop when he's asking those 3 questions? Do you have SIM cards? Do you have scratch cards? Do you know about us? Do you have a poster? In that context, they are decided that those are the 3 things that our customers want. They want to find us everywhere. They want our SIM cards, scratch cards, and they want to know about the promotions. Consequently, if you think about a project, what are the things that matter in a technical business on project? We always say on spec. The customer wants to get what you promise they will get. You want to say on time. If you promise the project will be delivered in 3 months, they want to make sure it's delivered in 3 months. You say also on scope, basically all of the things, you said you deliver 10 things, the customer wants 10 things. And then also the project experience. So if you say we will have a status meeting every week, that they feel actually they know what's going on in that 3 months. So in a technical project, then your customer journey is actually the project delivery journey. What actually happens when the sales guys hand over the project to us? What do we do to confirm that the scope hasn't changed? The customer, we now fully understand what the customer wants. What do we need to do about how the customer wants to be reported? Maybe the CEO wants a report every month. The project team wants a report every day. You map all of those things. So those are part of the journey. And if you don't map those things, then you don't have a way of repeating delight for customers. Remember, every business wants the same thing, that you serve a customer so well, at the end of it all, they can't stop talking about you. That's how new the next customer comes. Even if you're doing a payroll and you've got a nice contract and so on, the contract is not going to speak for you. It is a customer where you deliver the payroll so well, that customer, when they're in the next industry forum, they just say, wow, I've got a very elegant payroll software from Kinetics. And by the way, not only is the software good, I mean, those guys are really on top of things. They deliver, they are very professional. That's what you want. That's a good business. You cannot do that without writing this project journey. And if you think about those journey in a technical business, where does it break? It breaks, for instance, in the handover between sales and projects. And even when it doesn't break, it bleeds. I'll give you an example. So today, if the sales guys signed a contract 2 months ago and the project hasn't started, you're still paying salaries for January and February. You haven't fired those guys and said, okay, come back when the project starts. So, but what has happened? The fee that the customer is, let's say if you had agreed 10 million, the fee that the customer is paying you is the same. So this is what happens in a project that, in a company that manages its journey and company that doesn't manage its journey. Customer paid you 10 million bob. You signed a contract in December, it's still 10 million bob. It took 3 months to start the project. So you've paid 3 months of salaries before the project starts. You start the project, let's assume you actually finish it on time. You finish it in 3 months. Actually, you've taken 5 months to do a project. If you tighten your customer journey, then it means that once a contract, by the time the contract is signing, the project actually should be starting, inception meetings and all of those things. So that if you receive 10 million bob in 3 months versus 10 million bob in 5 months, that's a very different business. If you multiply that by 10 projects, it's a lot of money. So this is how you think about the customer journey in different contexts. The principles are the same. You must map the journey. You must drive for happiness. You must be able to repeat it. You must be able to improve it. Whether you're in a software business, whether you sell bread, whether you sell airtime, whether you sell a report, whether your products are a report. Or in our case, Kenna's case, her product is a lesson. Same principles. Gerald, is that helpful?
That's clear and helpful. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Gerald. I saw Faith as well from Twiva. We also wanted to ask a question. Faith?
I think that's me. That's Twiva Kinetic.
Yes. It's Kinetic.
Yeah, just to echo what Gerald is saying, just a background of what we did, or rather the challenges we faced. Gerald is more in the project side, Brenda is more in the technical side. I engage with clients more into SLAs, meetings, and everything. So when setting a meeting, clients already have this idea that when I see Gerald's call, it's something to do with issues. When I see Brenda's call, it's something to do with a product. When I see Faith's call, it's something to do with an SLA. So they're actually clients that have actually, I think, blacklisted me. So when they see my call, I'm either asking for an SLA, a signed copy of a document, a report, or something. So getting hold of these clients to actually ask them, how is your journey with Kinetics? It actually becomes a challenge. That is one of the challenges we faced, and also scheduling issues. And we actually, or rather I actually realized I can't do this alone with one client. I have to get Gerald or Brenda in the call with me. Why? Because it's possible to get to a call with a client and come out with a list of issues that they have raised, and I have actually overpromised to deliver something because I'm not as technical, and I will draw developers under the bus. So how do you actually go about that? Because it's possible to get to a meeting with ACTS, an NGO, and they're like, kuna hii na hii kitu, has not been working. So will you guys deliver before I end? I'm like, yeah, we're going to deliver. So I even don't know what the scope of that particular thing was. So I suddenly throw Gerald under the bus to deliver something in 2 weeks or 3 weeks that was not even in the contract. So also another question is, I know you said make this as often as possible, maybe weekly. I don't know how realistic that is for our industry, especially now bearing the fact that issues will never stop in a software development. So that's why we have a support contract. So you can have a meeting this week, you get a list of 100 issues, then another week, you get another list of 200 issues. So how do we balance? This is an issue collection meeting. This is actually a meeting to just fill your journey with kinetics. Yeah.
And I think you can combine the second question with Katrine. She had asked, when is cadencing this customer too much?
Too much, yeah. I love these. These are really good practical questions. So then, you remember in those 4 principles, there was the issue of cadence. And cadence is actually, it's not about talking to them every day. It's basically around finding a rhythm and a frequency that works for your business. And a rhythm you have to train, you have to find the right rhythm for your business. And then you have to train the customers for that cadence. Now, what is a cadence? This thing called cadence or cadence or whatever it is you want to call it, is this beautiful idea that has 3 things. Number 1, it's a very specific time when you're talking about a very specific issue with a very specific people. So if you're a software business, during a project, you agree with the customer, when should we have project meetings? The customer will tell you, and you will find that there's a standard. Some customers prefer that it's weekly, it's virtual, in person. Some customers prefer that it's monthly, it's virtual. Ask, don't guess, don't create a rhythm. Agree with the customers. So that's number 1. So when I say regular and so on, doesn't mean that you need to do it every day. For some businesses, like the bread business, and fast-moving consumer goods, that's why I call it fast-moving. The cadence is several times a week, almost weekly. If a business as big as Safaricom can do it very weekly, that's how they got big. Because they do it regularly, more regular than anybody else. So frequency is important. So figure out, is your business a daily cadence? Is it weekly? Is it monthly? Is it quarterly? Could be some of those, or sometimes a combination of those. That's number 1. Number 2, structure the topics. When you listen to Peter's call, he was asking 3 questions. Do you have scratch cards? Do you have SIM cards? Do you have posters? What is that equivalent for you? So when you have a software business, you talk about the project. Okay, how is the project going? What's going well, what's not going well, key issues, and so on. Okay. Financial status, billing status, have it on the cadence. Most probably, yeah. Have it on the cadence. So find the 3 or 4 topics that you consistently repeat. And then number 3, same people come into the meeting most of the time. That's what actually a cadence is. It's the same discussion happening regularly on the same topics with the same people. That's what a customer cadence is. You must have a cadence. You must design it and tweak it and see what works for you.
Okay. Katrine, you have a question on that?
Yes, just maybe to just a clarification. So for this cadence that we are supposed to have with the customers, just a clarification, because you see, for like TendePay, we have more than 2,000 customers. Is it a must for it to be a meeting, or it's like how for businesses that have a lot of customers, how can we have those cadence?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a very good and practical question. So remember, what is the purpose of a cadence? The purpose of a cadence, the purpose of those things, regular, now same people, same issues, is to understand the things that impact the customer. Now, when you realize Peter Arena wasn't asking, he wasn't meeting customers. He was meeting the shop owner. So what have they, what if you think about that journey, what have they decided? They've said, okay, the way that a customer experiences us is if they go to a shop and they don't find the scratch card, that's not good customer delight. If they go to a shop in the Mashinani, not in Nairobi, that's why he used to travel. And he decided his cadence is that I am going to build an organization that makes sure there's a scratch card, there's a SIM card, and there's a poster everywhere in the country. That's what made that business big. So you have 2,000 customers at TendePay. You have to start by saying what matters the most to our customers. What matters most to our customers? Now, you guys, how does your customer journey, that fulfillment part of your customer journey, how does it work? A customer probably tops up their wallet and they make payments. So you then say, hey, where are customer flashpoints? If a customer is not able to top up their wallet, that's a signal to the customer. They might not call you because there are many and they're busy and so on, but you already say that we know that if that customer can't top up their wallet, they're not going to be happy. There's no question about it. Number two, when customers can't make payments and their payments don't reach on time, so that they're not going to be happy. Or when customers want new features and they don't know whether we can be able to provide those services, you think hard about what makes your customers stick. So the first two, you can measure from the system, right? And you can look at your pattern. So you know that most customers make payments in the last week of the month. So in those seasons of the last week of the month, then it means actually the organization starts to watch how well top-ups are happening, which customers are doing top-ups, all of that kind of stuff, and so on. And when customers are not doing top-ups, they get an email or whatever it is and just say, look, just a quick reminder, this is how the top-ups, this is the logins, or whatever, and so on. So cadence doesn't necessarily mean that you have to talk to customers, but you have to find a way in the customer journey to be able to read and infer what customers do. So for a business that has projects, it's meetings. For a law firm, for a services business, it's meetings, it's looking at customers in the eye, it's having a human conversation because there are not many. And they're saying, we generally will try to see a customer, let's say every month, every quarter, and so on. You just put it in the rhythm. And so even when you're a law firm, and also it could be you do twice a year if you're a law firm. So for instance, for us, we go to a law firm at the beginning of the year, or they reach out to us and say, hey guys, we've grown, we have more associates. How's the business last year and so on? What do you guys think about the year and so on? And then customers are like, oh, by the way, we have this transaction, we have this thing, this new thing, and so on at the beginning of the year. So that's a rhythm. So that one's a rhythm for a services business. For our kind of business, we cadence every week. After this call, we will have a discussion and just say, how did that go? What could we have done better? So improve it for next week. For a technology business, you watch the metrics. You know that if your system goes off for 4 hours in the last week of the month, you know that it's going to be a problem. So you have to work your cadence around the areas that impact customers on the things that impact customers. So the cadence is not just a simple idea of let's talk to our customers every day. Let's sort of out of a whim find them. It's about structuring the frequency, how you pick the data that matters to the customer, the conversation or the things to watch, how to watch them. When you say who comes into a meeting, it's who do you want to listen to, right? Does the CEO come to the meeting? Is it a project team? Are there some meetings the CEO comes? Are there some meetings the project comes? Those kinds of things. Pay attention to those things, because business is just generally, once you pick those signals, go and improve the business, right? Once you pick those signals, go and do the journey better. And if you keep doing that, this thing called obsession, customer obsession, begins to happen, because you just have a power of compounding. You realize that, we realize that for the customers who we see at the beginning of the year, they just gave us more business than they gave us last year. So what do? You create a cadence where you say, hey, at the beginning of January and February, we need to go out to all our customers and see them at the beginning of the year. And you find that if you do that, business just improves, because now customers remember you, you're top of mind, and they feel actually that you care for them beyond the transaction. You know what Liz, is it? The lady from the law firm talked about. Yeah, Christine. That kind of thing.
Who haven't we heard from, Kenna, today? Which business haven't
Tawari,
we heard from?
actually. Beverly.
No,
What
Beverly
are you hearing?
Yeah.
Sorry, please fight for my rights. You were saying? You were saying?
Oh, she actually spoke.
I did.
She
You
can
did.
tell us what she's hearing, but I think we haven't heard from Tanj, I suspect.
Yeah. Let me pick Angela from Tanj. Hi, Angela. How are you doing? And what are you hearing from the discussion?
Hi, sorry. I think we have connection issues.
We can hear you.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, we have connection issues. What question did Koi ask?
What are you hearing from the discussion about the customer cadence and the way you interpreted the customer journey as well? What insights are you picking?
On our end, first of all, it was very insightful to know about the Tanj customer journey, because I'm still very new in the company. So it was an interesting discussion with my colleagues we did yesterday. And it helped us to build a better structure so we can be able to serve our customers better. Okay, most of us here actually deal with clients, except like just one person who is the head of production, is called Collins. The rest of us mostly deal with clients, but generally it was very insightful for me.
All right. Okay. Does your other team member want to share?
I was looking at the group chat. Is that question directed to us?
No, I was just asking, when you're thinking about the customer cadence, what are you hearing in the room from what Ken has shared?
Um, yeah, yeah,
I think the connection has a problem. Kenna, you can hear?
No, it's breaking.
Even if you know that you are like in some way the part of the customer's journey, the company. Can you hear me?
Yeah, it's breaking a bit.
I guess we have a network issue on our end.
All right, no worries. Okay, we'll pick when it settles down. We also didn't hear from, at least we got the perspective from Angela, so thank you. Let me pick Victor from User Point. What are you hearing?
Okay, well, hope everyone can hear me because it seems everyone has a connection issue today. Now, what I'm hearing, first of all, I'll start with my journey. I wasn't given a chance earlier and my experience and how I mapped. So I'm used to speaking to clients, but it was on a very different level this time round because I'm going to see you. I actually did mine on physical visits, round visits, because I felt it will be easier to also just understand from what Kui had told us. If you do not go there, you will not really understand other than just picking the phone. And we're used to. So I visited a few of our clients, but I really had a sit down with one of them, and it was a very, very candid discussion because I started by asking how the business was on their end, what kind of what actually made them come to use UserPoint system, what were they really trying to solve, and how can we be better. The things I had were almost what I said. You go back and try and hit the team back at like, you need to wake up, you need to visit these guys more, because I actually got 2 referrals from that, and from just having a conversation, which taught me that their clients can actually be your biggest your current clients can be your biggest brand ambassadors and can be your biggest I also upsold to the client. That the point is, I understood better what they want. I was able to give better training to the few other new people who came. Then I was able to also make a couple of money out of it by just upselling and giving them a few things. So it was very insightful. Now, from now, what I've had is the discussions from don't need to stop from there. It can be the same discussion every day, but then so they will feel like, okay, yeah, somebody is actually caring about it. And the more you talk about the same thing, first in their mind is, when I call, even if there is an expiry or something, the reception, like how they'll receive it is very very calm. If you talk to them on most occasions, I was actually trying to answer, I've forgotten his name, when you're saying he has to change his car. I was laughing about it, but then about my end, I was trying to figure it out that sometimes about the client mapping is the first thing. Then we need to ask ourselves, are they really our clients? Are they, is that the type of client we really want to have? Because and then the collection method, or rather like how much time and how much resources you consume to collect, and then is the business really going on? So I think also on the mapping, one of the other things we need to go back on the drawing board and see is what the question that we're being asked is, who is your client? That is the first thing we need to answer, because I think our clients should be able to pay for the services. They need to see the value of what we are giving them. And if then they are not able to pay, like you're saying, is how do we approach it? Do we I'm just giving my perspective, that do we then have to partner with It can open partnerships model. Do you need to partner with a financial institution which pays for you, then they deal with the clients later? So I think every challenge we faced should be an opportunity first, not just to shut down, but also to look at it in terms of how do you gain, how do I move forward from here, and what perspectives do we get so that the business, because at the end goal is their business. As we always say, there can be no business without the clients, and the clients can't also sell the products without you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Victor. And absolutely right. Yeah, we must keep reminding ourselves that without the customer, none of us, does what we do. Now, I think as we come up to the end of the session, I want to just share how we'll work through this. And I like how we've been able to engage today and really ask questions that are practical and situation-based. I think in general, there's an opportunity to go back and relook at those journeys. I'm sure hearing it today, looking at the 10-day pay journey, there's a little more clarity on what the ask is. Actually, I should ask that as a question. Is there more clarity on what the steps of the journey and what is required from that exercise? Yeah, can just put a thumbs up if there's clarity, insight. And most importantly, can you now see yourselves in that journey? Because I think, unless you can see how it impacts you personally, it's very difficult to play it out. Yeah? Okay. I see thumbs ups on the screen. I hope that then translates into you being able to go back to those customer journeys and really just draw out the steps. Maybe the word journey feels daunting, but it's just step one. They find us in the shop, they make an order, they do this, they do this. Just tell us the actions that the customer actually walks. So what we're gonna do is your reflection this week is gonna be simple. You already have a baseline for that customer journey. We want you to go back and relook at it based on the conversation today. That's one. Number two is that we want you to think about the customer cadence, the one that Ken has described, and design it, which means just deciding how often works for your business. Is it monthly? Is it quarterly? Is it weekly? Is it daily for your business? What will you discuss in those cadences? If you meet weekly, what are your equivalent of the 3 Peter Ringer questions? Do you have scratch cards? Do you have the branding? What are your equivalent of those questions that you will discuss in that meeting? And then finally, who comes in and what must move? Because that's how a powerful cadence can be designed. How often? What will we discuss? Who needs to be in that meeting? And what must move by the time we meet next? So you're gonna have those 2 tasks. We want you to actually go back and sit with your group the way you did it in this first version. Go back and have that conversation together with the members of your team as you redraw that journey, or rather just update it based on what we've discussed today. Does that feel doable? And does it feel clear? All right. Does anyone want to play back to me what are we asking you to do this week? Liz of CK & Co. Is it clear? Oh, I think you're muted.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's clear. We're supposed to know how often we're going to be meeting our clients.
then think about use customer cadence. Then what we will discuss with the customers, the questions we will have for them, and who comes in and who goes out, what must go out.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's very clear. So the customer cadence, I like how you said it. Who comes in and what must go out? What must move in the next week? All right. Just to restate, our one source of truth throughout the week, and Peterson, thanks for sharing about the platform. The platform is our best way of tracking your journey. It's our single source of truth. And so please submit your submissions. There's a reason they are timed actually. We'll work on extending the time so that you're able to catch it and that the responses don't disappear. We've fixed that issue. But it's important that you log in and do your submissions in the time frame because it also allows us to see how you've traveled. So if there's ever any challenge, please reach out to us on the WhatsApp group individually. We're very happy to help and even walk you through that. But it's important that a lot of that engagement happens on that platform. So we'd really appreciate that. And you've so far done a very good job at that. Okay, so I'm going to ask we pause there for today. Thank you so much for engaging and sharing your questions. We hope this has been helpful. We look forward to seeing you and interacting with you next week and in the middle of the week as well through the platform. So I'm going to pause there. Thank you so much. Have a lovely day.